Guys, this is Elena Seungeun Lee from We Learn to Share. Welcome to the video of AP Environmental Science. In this, we're going to go over Earth's atmosphere. And now let's delve into our topic today. So we have atmosphere, which is basically the layer of different airs that we breathe. And there are two factors that vary throughout the atmosphere. First is density, and second is the atmospheric pressure. And they're both influenced by gravity, which pulls the gas molecules in the atmosphere towards the Earth's surface. An atmosphere is constituted of four different layers, which we're going to learn one to one, very closely to each, particularly to each layer in today's video. So first layer, we have troposphere. And troposphere is basically the closest layer where weather happens, and this is closest to the Earth's surface. So it's the inner layer, which is up to 17 kilometers, and also up to 7 kilometers from the sea level in terms of the North and South poles. And it contains majority of the air we breathe, and 75 to 80% of the Earth's air's mass. And 78% of the total of the whole air in the troposphere is nitrogen, 21% is oxygen, and 1% is water vapor, CO2, carbon dioxide, or methane, which are all called greenhouse gases because they trap heat and warm the lower atmosphere. And the troposphere over here is basically a dynamic system involved with the chemical cycling of Earth's vital nutrients. It includes the rising and falling air currents and winds, which influences the planet's short-term weather and the long-term climates. And over here, you can see the troposphere is right over here, right? And then this, we have something that's called the stratosphere. Stratosphere extends from about 17 to about 48 kilometers, so that's from 11 to 30 miles, and it's above the Earth's surface. And as temperature increases, you can see that the altitude increases. So as the altitude increases, right, you can see that the temperature also increases over here, right? And so although the stratosphere contains less matter than the troposphere, which is the lowest layer in the atmosphere, its composition is similar to the troposphere with two notable exceptions. So this is exceptions, right? So it's basically, first is the volume of water vapor, right? This is about 1,000 that of troposphere, so it's very less. There's very less water vapor, and there's a concentration of ozone, O3, is much higher in the stratosphere. And stratosphere contains the ozone layer over here, right? And this is where much of the atmosphere's small amount of ozone, or O3, is concentrated in a portion of the stratosphere called the ozone layer, and it's found roughly 17 to 30 kilometers above sea level. And this ozone layer functions as what we call a global sunscreen because it keeps about 95% of the sun's harmful UV radiation from reaching the Earth's surface. That's very, very critical because it helps to keep our eyes protected from the harmful UV radiation, right? And the stratosphere therefore prevents much of the oxygen in the troposphere from being converted to photochemical ozone, which is a harmful air pollutant when found near the ground. So it also functions this function too. So you can see the first layer was the troposphere where the weather happens, and then this is the ozone layer, which is contained in the stratosphere. And then the third layer of atmosphere we're going to look is called the mesosphere. And the mesosphere goes 50 kilometers to 80 kilometers in altitude, and the temperature decreases as increase in altitude. We can see that in the second layer of stratosphere, as the altitude increased, the temperature increased. However, in the case of the third layer, mesosphere, as the altitude increased, the temperature decreases, right? And this makes the mesosphere, the third layer of the atmosphere, very, very cold. It's the coldest layer of the atmosphere, and the temperatures in the mesosphere can reach below minus 80 degrees Celsius, and meteors begin here. And you can remember this by they both start by ME, right? Mesosphere, meteors, they begin here, not being here, right? And we have the thermosphere over here, which is the last layer over here. And you can see that just like the stratosphere, as altitude increases, the temperature also increases. And the reason we're going to find out pretty soon, right? But let's go to the basics first. So the thermosphere, that goes from about 80 kilometers to the 100 kilometers in altitude. And this layer is the thinnest layer of the atmosphere. Again, you can remember that it both start by TH, right? It's the thinnest layer is the thermosphere. And another name from the thermosphere is the ionosphere, because this layer often traps protons, electrons, and other ions given off by the sun. As you can kind of presume by the last because it's the last layer, it kind of is the most closest to the sun, relatively, compared to the other layers of atmospheres. And As it increases altitude in this layer, the temperature increases, and this is because this layer receives a lot of UV radiation and energy from the sun, being the most closest to the sun compared to other layers below it. And it also blocks X-ray and UV radiation. But however, you always have to remember that the most of the harmful UV radiation is kept or prevented by the global sunscreen, our ozone, in the stratosphere, the second layer. And you can kind of remember also that the troposphere kind of begins over here. So it's the first layer where weather happens, and then with the stratosphere, the second layer, S, right? It contains the ozone layer, and then we have the mesosphere, which basically is the coldest layer, and we have the thermosphere, which is the closest to the sun, and it kind of receives all eons, so it's called the exosphere also. Okay, so this is basically the 4 layers of the atmosphere. These are the references. And so thank you for watching today's video, and I hope this video have helped you a little bit understand a little bit of AP Environmental Science about atmospheres. And thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!